Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Joe Palmer begins now.
Good evening, everyone. A Tasmanian wildlife worker is reeling from the discovery of 2 wallabies with shocking injuries. Not only were they maimed by arrows, they were left to suffer. And a warning, this report contains distressing images.
Greg Irons is a well-respected animal welfare advocate. With over 16 years of experience, he is passionate about protecting Tasmania's wildlife, but recent events have shocked him to his core.
The suffering that an animal goes through, how someone can do that for fun is something beyond me.
In the last 2 days, wallabies have been sighted with arrows sticking out of their bodies. This one at Cambridge had to be euthanised. The other, spotted at Roaches Beach with an arrow in its head, is still out in the wild.
The injuries are horrific. So originally the arrows are going into them, which would be incredibly painful, and then by not killing them, they're out there for weeks, potentially even longer, eventually probably dying from the injuries.
The trauma that those animals are going through, and the ones that haven't been found, is not going to be dissimilar to an animal being hit by a car or being attacked by a cat or a dog.
The government warning using a bow and arrow to hunt is illegal in Tasmania, and penalties are serious.
The penalties are up to $50,000. They were increased in terms of animal cruelty. And so I would just make the point that in terms of any member of the public that knows anything about this distressing incident, that they would bring forward that information to the police.
But for Greg, this isn't enough of a deterrent, with fears that more injured wallabies are out there.
I guess what really scares us is that's 2 animals that have been called in that are simply alive and have the arrows still in them, so they will represent a number more that have probably been shot.
Bonorong is offering a reward of $1,000 for information that leads to the arrest of those responsible. Ebony Ablett, 7 Tasmania News.
The remote and rugged West Coast is being touted as the location for Tasmania's next iconic visitor attraction. A new multi-day walk is being planned in the Tyndall Ranges, north of Queenstown, similar to the popular Three Capes walk, but it's already facing opposition.
On the shores of Lake Hunchley, deep in the Tyndall Ranges on the west coast, this spot could soon be the first stop on Tasmania's next iconic walk.
What this walk will provide is jaw-dropping. It will be something that captures the imagination not only of avid bushwalkers, but for anyone who wants to experience what is unique.
These waterfalls and snowy mountains identified as home to the first chapter of a proposed 4-stage walk. It's only early days, but initial plans involve walkers based in huts doing day trips along the way in this rugged wilderness near Queenstown.
It has accessibility from a number of towns here on the west coast. It will provide people with the opportunity to do a longer 3 to 4 day walk, or conversely a walk of up to a couple of hours.
There's $20 million in the budget for the project, with the working title of The Philosopher's Tale. A feasibility study is due to be completed in coming months.
The market testing will really tell us exactly what our clients are looking for, and it'll help us design a product that exactly suits what they're expecting.
There are hopes the plans will reinvigorate areas like here at Queenstown and other places along the west coast, potentially linking in with other businesses along the way.
The aim we always had behind it is that people would come to the west coast, they would spend a night, they would have dinner, accommodation, and that's the whole thing behind it.
But the project is already facing opposition. The Bob Brown Foundation raising concerns the track will go through sensitive alpine areas. Michelle Wisby, 7 Tasmania News.
There was a dramatic crash in Hobart CBD this morning with a ute flipped onto its roof. Luckily, the occupants of the car, a man and a dog, escaped without serious injury. The 2-vehicle collision happened at around 11:30 near the corner of Harrington and Davey Street. Police are investigating if inattention and disobeying a red light caused the crash. Well, capacity at Hobart Airport has been significantly expanded with a slight change to the angle of aircraft parking. The terminal can now handle an extra 2 planes within the same space, and there's also room for larger jets.
This tug is the secret to Hobart Airport's 40% increase in capacity. When aircraft are fully loaded and ready to go, they hook up and tow them out.
This lines the aircraft up, so straightens the aircraft up, and we now use tugs to push them back. So much more effective use of the existing apron.
Using the pushback method cuts down on the space previously needed for jets to turn around under their own power. The parking changing from angled to straight in, creating 2 extra spots within the same area. The need for this extra capacity demonstrated during summer, which saw existing arrangements stretched.
Hobart Airport's had significant growth over the last 5 years, and we've needed to look at ways in which we can more effectively manage our busy hour period. That busy hour period continues to grow.
The expanded aircraft parking comes just before the summer peak, but it also lays the foundations for the future prospects of international flights, creating extra space for larger aircraft.
In line with our terminal expansion program, we are looking at ways in which we can effectively park and manage wider body aircraft that could fly into and out of Hobart directly to an Asian port.
Now the aircraft parking is sorted out, the next major job is car parking, as managers revamp vehicle traffic flows. Michael Breen, 7 Tasmania News.
They returned from distant battlefields a century ago, but the final resting place for 70 Tasmanian soldiers was far from fitting. The first of 30 new headstones for unmarked graves has been completed, and some made a long journey to see the job finished.
A funeral service long overdue for a handful of Tasmania's war heroes. These are the faces of World War I soldiers who made it home, but were put to rest in unmarked graves when they died. This year, a Work for the Dole program has seen new headstones give names to the forgotten and recognition for their service.
There's too many veterans who return to Tasmania and who've ended up in unmarked graves for lots of different reasons. Some of them are social and some of it's economic.
30 new headstones have been completed at Launceston's Carvilla Cemetery. Some descendants travelled as far as New South Wales for today's ceremony.
They need to be honoured, so it just makes my heart swell with pride to think that finally they're going to be recognised and laid to rest as they should have been.
I'm not proud of wars, but these men made great sacrifices. I know the sacrifice my maternal grandfather made.
There are another 40 headstones still to be completed. Campaigners are hoping to take the next mission to unmarked graves in Devonport. Sean McComish, 7 Tasmania News.
He might just be Tasmania's biggest fan of spiders, and he's using his wide web of knowledge to prove it. John Douglas has already written one book about the state's 8-legged residents, but quick sales meant it was time for a new one. Although he admits it might not be a page-turner for arachnophobes.
When you get up close to them with a camera and have a look at the details on a spider, they really are quite amazing.
The new book is available through the Queen Victoria Gallery and Museum. A local supermarket chain is ditching plastic as part of the war on waste. Hill Street is introducing more eco-friendly packaging made from sugarcane pulp and wood. Customers can also bring in their own containers for deli items.
We're removing all plastic produce bags from our stores, and we're also eliminating all the plastic deli containers out of our deli, which means that we now will be fully plastic free as far as all of our food.
Hill Street says the changes will be in effect by the end of the month.
It's one of Tasmanian football's oldest and fiercest rivalries, with Glenorchy and Clarence ready to go toe-to-toe. And the Pies will be out to show that they're still one of the sides to beat following an up-and-down couple of weeks.
Questions were raised about the Pies' ability to compete in September following the side's heavy loss to Launceston in round 15.
They're very good at picking the hole in your defence and then exploiting it. And, we were like Swiss cheese on that day and they picked us apart.
The club bounced back with a win over the D's last weekend, but aren't expecting anything to come easy against the Roos at Blunston Arena tomorrow.
We just go in respecting what they try and do, what they do well. And at the moment, we've got a real focus of getting back to doing our basics well too.
Future club great Jay Bowden has been named to play despite ongoing injury niggles, with Kennedy hopeful the goal magnet can have a big impact in the pointy end of the season.
A matter of managing his body every week now and trying to build him slowly so come finals time he's feeling really good. That's our aim for Jay.
Bolstered by a competitive showing against the reigning premiers, Clarence coach Jeremy Webberley will be looking for more of the same from his men, despite the club now playing purely for pride.
Took a step forward last week, so it's really important that we don't take one back this week. Not so much looking at the win-loss column, looking at the little things that we've achieved during the week. And I think if we can do that, it's going to keep us really level-headed in where we're going.
Olympia's NPL title hopes have suffered a major blow, with the club set to be stripped of title points after breaching the competition rules. But the side says it will fight the charge as they prepare for a crucial clash with Devonport this weekend.
The club was slapped with the sanction after it came to light that Warriors player Lucas Hill had accumulated 5 yellow cards throughout the season when he took to the field against South Hobart in round 20, making him ineligible to play. As a result, Olympia has been stripped of the 3 points it received following the win.
It's disappointing for my players because they've worked very hard for a long time, and it's completely out of their hands. There's nothing to do with them. So they're the ones I feel the most for.
It's understood, however, that Football Tasmania's statistics showed that Hill was only on 4 yellow cards, leading Olympia to believe he was right to play. As a result, the club will contest the sanction at a tribunal hearing next week.
If other clubs or other people out there think that we would play Lucas knowing he had 5 yellow cards, well, that's just ridiculous.
The Warriors take on Devonport in a top-of-the-table showdown this weekend, and with the sides now sitting equal on points following the sanction, Clark was brutally realistic about what a loss would spell for his side's title hopes.
Being honest, I think that's it. I think both us and South will be too far behind.
To cricket, and following an impressive off-season recruitment drive, the Hobart Hurricanes and Tasmanian Tigers women's sides will get the chance to see where they're at, bound for Darwin to compete in the Northern Territory Women's Strike League, along with 2 50-over matches against the ACT Meteors.
Skills that we've been building on to be able to see if they can do that under pressure, and this competition allows us to do that.
The squad flies out tomorrow, with the first of the matches beginning on Sunday.
And finally in sport, the brains behind the hugely popular Medina Bike Park Dirt Art have announced their latest project, with the Meehan Range Mountain Bike Park passing stage 1 of the approval process by the state government. The Dirt Art team says the project proposes to bring world-class uplift service mountain biking to the greater Hobart area and will complement Medina and other existing and emerging Tasmanian mountain bike experiences. A project launch, including concept plans, will take place in the coming months.
Good evening. Hope you've had a terrific Friday. 16 degrees was the warmest today recorded by Launceston, Hobart 15, Burnie and Devonport 14 degrees. St Helens 15, 14 degrees at a number of centres including Friendly Beaches, Low Head, Smithton and the Bass Strait Islands. Ouse 13 today and Lyawini a top of 5. Low level convective cloud over most of the state and a band of cloud off to the east of Tasmania, part of that front that brought windy night and a few morning showers for most of us today. That band of cloud over the Tasman Sea stretches from New Zealand through Victoria and New South Wales into southern Queensland. Low-level cloud is over southwestern WA and not much else to see. Tomorrow another cold front is due to cross in the afternoon as the mainland remains under the influence of a number of high-pressure systems. Winds west and northwesterly at 15 to 25 knots, increasing and reaching 30 knots over the west and south ahead of a late westerly change. Swells at 4 metres, building to 5. There is a gale warning from South East Cape to Low Rocky Point, a strong wind warning for remaining waters between Tasman Island and Sandy Cape, a small craft wind alert for the lakes. Also a road weather alert for frost and ice for susceptible roads right around the state. The weekend's here and Hobart will have a partly cloudy 11 degrees after a cool night. -1 for Medina, 7 the top tomorrow with a shower or 2. Morning frost for Oatlands. Launceston a morning frost, partly cloudy up to 11 degrees for the footy at UTAS Stadium. 12 for Devonport and partly cloudy, a light shower or 2 for Lyawini and 4 degrees the maximum. 11 the high for Burnie with a light shower. Showers for Strawn 11 there and 11 also for Marrawar. St Helens tomorrow 12, partly cloudy. Swansea 13 degrees after a negative start and 12 the high for Orford. On Sunday, showers over the west, far south and Bass Strait, pushing over the north around midday. Showers extending statewide on Monday with snow lowering to 400 metres in the south. And on Tuesday, a few coastal showers over the west and south. Fine elsewhere after widespread morning frost. A few cool days ahead. 20 and partly cloudy in Perth tomorrow, 15 in Adelaide. A fog ahead of a possible shower in Melbourne, partly cloudy in Sydney, sunny and 26 in Brisbane. Clear conditions above us at the moment with temperatures down into single figures. In fact, Joe, I felt very cold today after you made me have a haircut. In fact, I'm not going to return until it grows back. So I'll see you then.
All right, we'll see you then. You do look very handsome. And that's all from the news team for now. Thanks so much for your company. We'll see you throughout the evening with updates. Bye for now.